They say being kind to your plants can actually make them grow better. Imagine if we were kind to humans and each other, right? Now, you've probably heard different phrases and different sayings, things like, let's say, for example, your grandma's a really good cook, right? And she makes some really good food. The secret ingredient for my grandma, she says, well, it's made with love. And, growing up, I was a kid, I was like, oh, it's made with love. I never really understood, but now it's become apparent that when you exude certain emotions, certain energies, certain vibrations, you actually do affect things around you, right? So I wanted to kind of just talk to you guys about this for a little while and kind of put some scientific background into it, and I hope that you guys spend some time and do some research yourselves. There's a a scientist by the name of Masaru Emoto. I hope I'm saying that right. He made some pretty significant discoveries, I believe in the early 2000s, and he found that water has a memory, it has its own consciousness in a sense, and what he found is that when he took certain samples of water and he put different either images, spoke kind words to the water, put positive intentions into the water, and he also did it with negative intentions, um, negative words, and he also used different types of music. And what he found was that in these different samples of water, that they had different responses, and their molecular structure was changed completely based on the energy, intention, thought, image, or piece of music that the water was being, quote unquote, I guess, exposed to, you could say. And what he found was that the water samples that were backed by positive intentions, pieces of music that were considered beautiful, so artists like Beethoven and a lot of different classical music that people consider to be beautiful music, and those that had positive intentions and words put behind the water. He took images, he froze the water and took images of the water molecules, and what he found was that the water he put the positive intentions behind formed crystalline, beautiful, symmetric structures that were all really similar. So a few different samples of water, he took words like love, gratitude, peace, joy, things like that, and all of the structures are very crystalline and very beautiful. With the samples he used that were backed by negative emotions or negative intent, he found that the water became murky, it became polluted, it became gross, it was not structured and crystalline in any way. So this came to the belief by him is that, or by the scientists, he came to conclude that water, in a sense, is the blueprint of reality because it's so respondent to its environment. I talked a bit about in one of my past videos about how the sun affects your water, how what it's contained in affects it, but you as a person also greatly affect the water. When you come in contact with, let's say, some water you're drinking, you actually are affecting the water. You're changing its molecular structure. So with this discovery, it's really important to kind of realize is that, well, for one, I just want to kind of put it in perspective. Think about our planet, okay? We live on a planet that's composed of 70% water, approximately, somewhere in there. Our bodies are composed of 70% water, okay? So when you feel a certain emotion or when you're thinking certain thoughts, emotion he found is the most powerful thing. Thoughts have power, but emotion backing the thoughts is what really gives it the charge and gives it more power. And so it's really important to know that when we're feeling frustrated or angry or feeling any kind of way, we are actually affecting every cell in our entire body. Every single cell. We're composed of 50 trillion cells. So if you're feeling, a bit angry or you're feeling hateful, every single cell in your body is expressing that emotion. So it's actually changing your biological makeup. So, earlier I mentioned how we talked about how, it seems that people who kind of love their plants that they're growing and they speak kindly to them. Well, now it makes sense that most plants are composed of like 90% water, right? So a lot of vegetables and fruits we eat, like cucumbers and celery and things like that, they are, I think, like 95% water, somewhere in that range. And so think about the foods we're eating and think about, plants you grow and even food you can be cooking. Anytime you are in the presence of food or water, you actually have the ability to influence its molecular structure. Now, this probably sounds a little crazy to some people, and I know when I first heard about it, I didn't really understand. I was like, what? But part of me kind of really thought, well, maybe it's possible, right? I've never been the person to just shut away ideas because it's something that I don't understand or something that seems like, some fairy tale mumbo jumbo, crap. But if you really dive in, you start learning more about these things, it becomes crystal clear. So another thing I wanted to mention, not only on the water level, but our emotions, our thoughts and feelings not only affect water in a sense, but it affects everything around us, everything in this world and in our universe. So there was a couple other studies that were conducted and found several years ago, back in, I believe, early 2000s, maybe late 19. I'm gonna sit down, guys. I've been walking around my front yard here. There were a group of researchers in the University of Kassel in Germany. I think I'm pronouncing it right. And they did studies on the electromagnetic field that your heart produces. Now, you guys have probably heard the phrase, we only use 10% of our brains, right? 10% of our mind's capacity. So the mind is very, very powerful, guys. Your mind is extremely powerful. But what they found is that the electromagnetic field that your thoughts and your mind produces is very significant. But they found that the heart, when in a state of love and peace and gratitude, exudes 5,000 times more power than the human mind does. Now, this is unbelievable. So when they conducted this study, they found that the electromagnetic field that is produced around a person's body is directly correlated to the emotion they are feeling. So I've mentioned what's called the scale of consciousness. The scale of consciousness starts from very low vibrations all the way to very, very high vibrations, and the emotions on that chart, all the negative emotions are very low on the scale of consciousness. So they're very low vibrating frequencies. The more positive emotions are very high on that scale of consciousness. So when you are feeling love and gratitude and joy, your heart is producing many, many more times powerful than if you were in a negative state. And this is something that's really talked about in a lot of different cultures around the world. You've probably heard of people like Gandhi or people like Buddha, or there's a few others I can't think off the top of my head, but they were all known to sort of have this presence, sort of have this kind of invisible, I wouldn't say just, power, but people could feel their presence. And there were theories that the aura, I don't know if you've heard of auras before, but basically all your aura is the electromagnetic field that is around your body, produced primarily from your heart. Okay, it's from your mind too, but primarily from your heart. And sorry, I got distracted there. I thought that was somebody I knew. They were looking at me. But so your heart is very powerful. I can't remember exactly where I was going with that, but anyways, the point is they found that the heart can actually produce when in a state of love, which is very high on the scale of consciousness. It's 500 or above. I'll post a link in the description to that scale so you can just look at it and see. But when you're vibrating at those higher levels, you are emitting energy at a far greater rate around you. And here's what I was going to say. So with Buddha and some of these other people, they were believed that their auras, their energy actually spread out, not just right around someone's body. So on average, every person has about a 3 meter radius of electromagnetic field around their body. Now, I'll kind of put it into perspective or give you an example here that you can probably relate to. Have you ever been at the store and you had somebody that was standing really close to you? So you're by yourself, you're at the store, you're checking out, and you have someone, you're standing in line and somebody behind you is just a little too close and they're kind of in your bubble, right? So you're like, they're not touching you, but they're just too close. Well, that's because you have an electromagnetic field around your body. And when someone that you don't know, you're not comfortable with, if they're too close to you, they're invading your bubble, right? They're actually just stepping into the field of energy that's around your body, produced from your heart and your mind primarily. So this is very significant because when I've talked about the fact that we are made of energy, we are actually co-creators of our reality. We have the ability to manifest things. We have the ability to improve and change our lives at any time. It just becomes and starts with a choice to, for one, seek the knowledge and seek the wisdom and to learn about these things. At a very young age, I was kind of introduced to what's called the law of attraction. And at the time, I really didn't understand it. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I grew up Christian, and there's nothing wrong with anything that you believe, or there's nothing wrong with those things. But for me, I just didn't quite understand. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense because, I thought God chose your destiny, or God was always in control of everything. Well, we got to realize, guys, is that if you read the Bible, it says that we are created in God's image, okay? I believe that's metaphorical for stating the point that we are creators ourselves. We have been blessed with the power and the ability to co-create our existence, and we have the ability to change the world around us, including our own lives, but also impact those around us at a very, very high level. So the last thing I wanted to mention was, I talked about how when you're in this state of love, the heart's electromagnetic field is greatly increased. And what they found in their studies was that the heart's 5,000 times more powerful than the brain, than the mind. And when it's emitting this energy, it's up to 100,000 photons per second. They have machines and technology that can actually read this. So this is why it's proven. It's not, like I said, guys, it's not mumbo jumbo. It's not fairy tale stuff anymore. It's actually scientifically proven that our bodies and our minds, we put off energy. We can affect the world around us. And so I researched very deeply into this because it was very, very interesting to me. And One thing that I found was that there was another study done, and I can't remember who did it or where it was at. I might try to look for it later because I'll post these things in the description below. But they found that they took a small group of individuals who are considered trained meditators. So if you've never meditated or really, I'm sure you've heard of meditation before, but most people don't really understand and realize the benefits and what meditating really is and what it can do for you and your health, your physical health, mental health, spiritual, emotional, all those different things. They did a study and they did a kind of a test where they took these trained meditators that have been practicing. They really know how to do these things. They sent them out into different cities. Most of the cities were a population of around 500,000 to a million, somewhere in there. And what they found was when they sent these people out, they had them do meditations. I believe it was for roughly an hour. They sent them out, and this is probably a group of, I think, about 5 people, and I might be slightly off, so I'll find this and post this in the description so you can look for it yourself or kind of look into it yourself if you'd like. But they found that when they sent these people out and they would all meditate for around an hour, all they would do is just focus and meditate on exuding love, right? Exuding that energy out into the world. And they took the crime rates from the past, I can't remember if it was like the past 10 years, but they took the averages of crime rates from the previous 10 years and they compared it to the new crime rate of the year when they went and did their meditations, and they found that all the crime rates of those cities significantly dropped. Now, this sounds probably just insane to some people, but if you understand that we're all energy, and in the quantum realm and quantum physics and mechanics, every possibility exists in this universe, in this life. And if you research and study about the heart and its power and what your body is capable of, what you as a individual are really capable of, just by yourself, you have the ability to influence and change the world, not just by your actions, but by the energy you are putting out into the world. So I just thought those things were really mind-blowing. And if that's the case, guys, we have the ability to create a whole new world. We have the ability to exude more love and peace, and we have the ability to bring people together and create a unity of people that are out here to make a difference and are willing to help other people. And that's really what life's about, is helping others. So the last thing I guess I'll say is that it comes down to a choice. It comes down to choosing to, for one, just do the research, do the studies. You have to spend the time. We are constantly just so busy as people. We grow up, we're going to school like 8-10 hours a day. Once we are out of school, we go to college, and then after you're out of college, you get a job, and then you're working for almost half of your life. You're working for 8 hours a day, and when most people get off, they're just tired and they want to relax and hang out. And most people don't want to spend the time to really dive in and learn about these things. This year, with everything that's been going on, having more time for ourselves and just more time to do the inner work and self-reflect. It's given me the time this year to really, really embody and really understand these things. So love is the answer, guys. I would study and look into what's called the chakras. There's 7 different chakras that are actually the energy centers of your entire body, and a lot of people think it's just a bunch of crap, right? I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Doctor Strange. It's just a movie, but it's quite hilarious when when Doctor Strange is trying to go get healed, and then the monk, the ancient one, shows him, she tells him that, yeah, you can be healed, and he's speaking in, doctor terms and stuff, and she just shows him a book, and it shows shows the seven chakras, and he thinks it's just, he's like, are you kidding me? I spent my last bit of money to come to this side of the world, and you're telling me about, chakras. I've seen this in gift shops, and he just was basically making fun of it. And then, she does her magic work or whatever, and sends him through, like, all infinite dimensions or whatever. And but anyways, it's it's not mumbo jumbo anymore, guys. It's been scientifically proven. So take the time, study these things, share it with your friends and family, because we can change the world based on not only the actions we're taking, what we're doing to directly help each other, but your energy that you're putting out into the world. Because remember, we are frequency, we are vibration. Everything to its fundamental level is energy, and it's all vibrating at a certain frequency. So if we all at the same time focus on putting out more love and kindness, and during these times, guys, there's just so much hate going around. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety, and there's a lot of separation for many different things. And most people don't realize this, but a lot of things that are going on in the world, and things with politics, things with this pandemic, they are dividers between people. It's like you got to choose one side or the other. You're either left or right, you're up or down, you're circle or triangle. Okay, that was a weird analogy, but you guys get the point. So the answer is unity. The answer is love and kindness. Again, if they say speaking kindly to your plants helps them grow better, imagine if we did that for each other. Imagine how much humans would grow if we were more kind to each other. That's all I've got for you guys. It's really weird. These geese have been flying. Some of them have been flying north, and I'm like, guys, you're going the wrong way. They're supposed to fly south. Silly birds. Silly gooses. All right, guys. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Peace.